Introducing Meta Ray-Ban Display, the world's most advanced AI glasses. With a full color display built into the lens of the glasses, it's there when you need it and gone when you don't. Send and receive messages, translate or caption live conversations, collaborate with Meta AI, and more. Be one of the first to try Meta Ray-Ban Display. Visit meta.com/Meta Ray-Ban Display to book a demo and find your pair.
When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite, obey your thirst.
Here's my 30-second story with Guinness. As soon as my sister and I get home for the holidays, we don't even unpack. We head straight to our pub. The bartender already knows our order, Guinness and fries. We laugh all night, catch up with old friends, and walk home with faces sore from smiling. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. That was my 30-second story with Guinness.
Guinness Draft Stout. Please enjoy responsibly. Imported by Diageo Beer Company, USA, New York, New York.
Hello and welcome back to the Saucepans and Side Sauce podcast. It's John here today, and I am joined by Archer Holz. Archer, great to have you along.
Cheers, John. Good to be here. Good to get on and have a chat.
Yeah, and thanks for coming by. So, any nicknames in the squad actually for yourself, or are you just Archer to the boys?
I get Arch a lot over here. Yeah, that's about it. I haven't had too many nicknames yet. I get Holtzy from Pilly and a few of the other coaches, but yeah, mainly just Arch.
Fair enough. Holtzy we can go with maybe. We'll go with that for the rest of the day now.
Yeah.
So going back to the beginning for you then, where did your rugby journey start out? When did you start playing?
Yeah, so I grew up in a little town in Oz, middle of nowhere, 11-hour drive from Sydney. And we had a rugby. All we had out there was about 500 people in the town. We had a little junior rugby league team. So I played rugby league up until when I was 9. And then was really lucky, got a chance to go away to boarding school in Sydney and started playing rugby there. I was actually a hooker back then. It was a little bit thinner, I would say. But so started as a hooker and fell in love with it. Played hooker up until I was probably 16 at school. And then grew probably a foot and put on 20 kilos and shifted out one. But so started playing when I was at school, and then went from there.
So that was Union then when you went to boarding school. You made
Union. Yeah. So once I went away, had a few more opportunities, but we played Union at school, and kind of not quite the build for rugby league anymore, but much prefer Union anyway. So.
Yeah, well, you got to say that, haven't you?
Wow.
But and then when you actually started, when you made the move to prop, were you always on the tight or did you start in the loose?
Always on the tight. It was one of those ones where I didn't want to be a tight head. It was always kind of one of those ones where I moved across, and I think I wanted to play loose head. It was kind of tight head always looked like a bit of a tough job, but just with my frame, it was kind of a bit of a no-brainer. I was didn't really have much of a choice. But in saying that, like, kind of started okay, and kind of once you figure out your technique and that sort of thing, I think tight head's a really fun position to play. You kind of got a lot of say in how the scrum goes, I guess, and you kind of can get to work pretty well. So it was mainly tight head, I think, by force at the start, but yeah, definitely probably enjoy that more now.
And since we're talking about your technique, we might as well get on to that. So when you're actually looking to, let's start with the setup in the scrum, could you talk me through what you're looking for in your setup? How do you like your hips? How do you set your bind? What are you looking at, the opposite hooker or the loose head?
Yeah, so starting, I like to take like a reverse bind on my hooker. So rather than kind of binding, I suppose, palm into his back, I roll my shoulder forward and kind of get my wrist facing outwards, which I just feel like gives me a little bit more of an opportunity to get my left shoulder down. I think that's something that kind of helps me. I had a coach when I was maybe 20 who kind of was like, "Oh, I'll give this a go," and it stuck with me then, and kind of just helps me. Yeah, so when I set up, you might see it during a game, is I come in and kind of almost look like I'm giving the hooker a hug, like to get him to get a tight bind on me, and then it's about opening myself up as much as possible, and I almost feel like if you think about it as a clock face 12 straight ahead, I almost want to feel like I'm pointing at 1 o'clock or 1:30 on that clock face, just to kind of, you feel like you're pointing at 1 o'clock, but you're actually getting square, and that just kind of helps me promote myself forward. Which, yeah, again, with that bind also helps you do. I mean, I can talk about scrums for hours.
Please, I know we don't have that long today, but another time we can have a scrum session.
Okay, so for me there, so it's then basically trying to lock my inside foot. I start with my foot a little bit more forward as I'm setting up, and then once we've got our locks in, I'll drop that out, so foot back a little bit before the bind. One big thing I focus on in the scrum is, like, it's really important for me is that weight on that inside foot. Probably more so for loose heads, but for tight heads as well, I think it's super important just to kind of stay connected with the hooker there. And that kind of trigger of, like, I say, like 70-30 is probably not that much, but 70-30 weight into your inside foot, I think helps me do that. And then the other thing I always talk about is just like the efficiency of our setup. So every time you have a foot movement or a bind or a little shuffle or anything like that, all you're doing is just releasing pressure. In my brain anyway, that's just how I find it. So for me, it's just about shortening as many movements as possible. So that's why once my second rows are in, before I take my bind, I'll drop my right foot back, so I've got less distance to travel on that bind. Drop my right foot back. I want to be really square. Left foot in the position I want it to be once I've hit, so that doesn't have to move. Then it's just about, as I said, the word you could say it's speed, but I don't think it's speed, because I think you don't want to be rushing in to find that, because then you start to get unstable and off balance and all these kind of things. So I think efficiency is probably the word I tend to look at. Is once we've come down for the crouch, you take your bind, and then it's finding your bind as quickly as possible, getting your foot back. So then I can try and find a little sink on that bind. So I'm sitting there, I've found my bind. Ideally, I want to beat that loose head there. I can find his shoulder with my head, sink that right shoulder down to keep him out as much as possible, find that bind, and then I'm just sinking my chest down a little, even if it's just an inch or two. If you steal that height there, I think that goes a long way to kind of winning that punch. So for me, yeah, it's just all about that efficiency. I think we've started. It was something we kind of struggled with a little bit, obviously with injuries and stuff, and you lose a lot of size in your back five. It becomes hard to kind of win that bind battle. But for us, it's about putting enough weight through where we feel like we're comfortable, but not too much where it kind of mitigates our hit a little bit, which I think is important. So yeah, that's kind of where I look at the scrum setup stuff. I think it's one of those things where I've always said this, and we've got a few young lads in the team who you look at and you give advice to. Everyone scrums differently, and everyone's got a different opinion. But I think the best part about it is, because there's so many different opinions, you absorb everything you get told, and you try everything, and some things will work, some things won't, and you kind of figure out how you want to scrum. So the way I scrum isn't the same as any of the other tight heads, and if they try to, it wouldn't be as effective, and if I tried to scrum like them, it wouldn't work either. So I think for me, it's that kind of individuality of it, where you find how you want to scrum, what works for you, and then you just kind of keep dialing that in over your career. It's why they always say, as a prop, you peak much later than a lot of other positions, is because it is one of those, the dark arts, as they say. It's so technical. As I said, absolutely, it's my favorite part of the game, and I could talk about it for hours. And that's generally where I'm at, kind of scrum time.
Yeah, well, maybe another day we'll find the hours to talk about it. But
love to get back on.
You've gone into all of your technique in the setup and on the bind. What about the hit when you're ready for the hit? Do you take the hit, or do you attack on it generally?
I think, and this is something that changes scrum with who you're scrumming against. I think always like the base kind of thing is you want to get out quickly and take the space. So I think that is we probably like to have an attacking hit. I think if you've got a massive pack and all your front rowers are 130 kilos and you got a couple of massive locks and stuff, you can kind of take the hit a little bit better and not have to worry about it and kind of just find your shape. I think that for us, the way we want to scrum at Scarlets is we want to win that hit, which I think comes down a lot to your hookers kind of leading that. So we've got some really good scrummaging hookers. Mush, Ryan Elias, obviously he's one of the best scrummaging hookers I've ever played with. He's unbelievable at kind of getting us out, getting us forward, and just kind of controlling the other front row and kind of getting them to do what we want them to do. And then Marnus as well. He just punches us across the space. He's unbelievable as well. So for us, I think the hit's super important. And the way I scrummage as well is I want to find my shape really well, get low, and then if I do that and I can kind of go at the loose head, I'll create space between the loose head and the hooker with help from my hooker. And that's when I can kind of take that space. If you see a lot of our scrums when we're doing well and we're kind of I'm trying to take that space at the hooker, and that's where I feel like I can be really dominant. But in saying that, it doesn't always work out. I think that's one thing you look at. It doesn't matter how dominant your scrum is, you're always going to have times where it doesn't come off, and you just got to kind of manage that. But yeah, in terms of the hit, we really do try and go after it. It doesn't always work out, and you kind of have to have plans in place for when you do maybe lose that hit, and you've kind of got to adjust and kind of fight back from there. But we've shown we can fight out of some pretty tough positions. You look at Sharks, like they were the game out in South Africa. They came at us pretty hard, and we kind of dealt with them. I feel like we fought really well out of some pretty tough spots, and yeah, pretty pleased with that. So the hit's something that's super important, but yeah, you've got to be able to fight out of it if you don't get that hit.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we can talk about another game where it went particularly well, which is just on the weekend gone against Glasgow. Yeah, I'm sure you were pretty happy coming off the field that day. You had Jamie Batty opposite you. 30-odd cap Scotland international, been to a World Cup, didn't seem to faze you. You had him, I'm sure he's a lovely man. You had him off the pitch by 35, 36 minutes. Yeah, how did that feel? What were you looking at going into the game when it came?
Yeah, really pleasing. I think going into it, we spent the week. It was pretty tough to kind of preview them too well because obviously they had a lot of guys in that Scotland camp. We didn't know who was going to come back, what their front row was going to look like. So we kind of spent a lot of the week focusing on us. So it's one of those ones where you go into the game and you're not really too fussed on what the other front row is going to do. We had our plan. But yeah, it was super pleasing. Like I think anytime you have a day like that, you have to make the most of it. And I feel like we did. I think there's games where you feel dominant, you feel like you're having a good day, and you don't quite get the rewards for it. I think what we did really well was we painted good pictures for the ref, and we were dominant, but we showed him we were dominant, and we showed we were doing it legally, which is I think how you get that pay out of your penalties and whatnot. So mate, it was honestly unreal. We as a front row, as a pack, I think everyone rocked up to scrum time on the weekend and just went, righto, we're going to have it here. And when you do that, it's pretty special because it doesn't always come off like that. But yeah, they were quality. I just feel like we got our process right, and it's always good. I tend to carry on a little bit after I get a bit of pay at scrum time. Getting a bit carried away, but no, it's good. That's what you live for as a prop, is kind of coming up, getting a good penalty or a penalty against the head, even. Like it's pretty cool. So yeah, very pleasing.
Yeah, I can tell you as a fan, it was pretty easy to tell watching on the TV that you were having a fantastic day of it. It was pretty clear to see that.
Yeah, good.
Obviously, it wasn't just the scrum that went well. Like the maul, I mean, continuing on from last season, was a fantastic weapon for you boys, and that seems to be continuing now into this season. How are you planning for that in training? Are you finding that since it was so powerful last year, the teams are getting wise to some of the things that you're doing, or how are you managing to keep it fresh, moving game to game?
Yeah, for sure. I think anytime you kind of uh you have a kind of weapon like that, teams are going to prep for you. We do it for teams we play against. That's how it goes. But I think for us, the thing with our maul is what I think made it such a weapon last year was things like Josh getting that punch and kind of working out like our system's really strong. So I think even when we have teams that kind of prep and do well, I do feel confident that we can kind of still get pay out of that maul, even if they're kind of coming pretty hard at that, which I think we did on the weekend. It's nice to finally get some reward for it. We did a lot of work on it over the 3 week international break. Had a lot of days up on that top field, kind of grinding away, bashing into each other, and yeah, it's tough work. It's one of those things where you come in and you're like, this is gonna be a tough hour, working on our maul and our scrum and that kind of thing. But it kind of makes it worth it when you have a game like on the weekend. Like you get that pay, you maul try, yeah, all that kind of thing. It's one of those things where we haven't necessarily changed too much to try and keep it fresh. It's just about kind of focusing on our process, which, as I said, our forwards coach has kind of worked really hard on getting that system in place, and it works for us. But it works when we're kind of on song and we're getting that really good punch and working on our height and kind of taking the right angles and all those kind of things. So we haven't necessarily done anything to kind of try and reinvent the wheel. It's just about kind of nailing that process and getting that system even more down pat. And I think, hopefully we can carry that kind of form on.
Yeah, well, it was very satisfying on the weekend to see Josh McLeod get his try going over, something maybe we took a little bit for granted by the end of last season, the amount of times he was going over at the back of the maul.
Yeah.
But yeah, so nice to see that coming in again. Um, Obviously, you've got a massive game coming up this weekend. First things first, though, congratulations to you and the boys for all the work last season that actually gets you into the Champions Cup.
Thank you very much.
This is your, if I remember right, you played a couple of games at La Rochelle, but you weren't in Champions Cup rugby. Yeah, this will be your first taste of it.
Yeah, first taste on the weekend. I played top. It was just top 14 games at La Rochelle, so I didn't get any Champions Cup rugby there. But it was kind of when I went over, it was just after they'd obviously finished their second title, and it was just, you kind of hear about all the talk of this competition, and it's a competition I'd kind of heard about when I was like at school and that kind of thing, and that was always the kind of the most prestige, the premier competition, I suppose you'd say. And it's exciting. I'm stinging to get out there, and I think the best part about it is it's one of those ones where having the kind of second comp to lead into, and such an important one like this, it's kind of brings like a renewed sense of energy and excitement in the group, which is really cool. So yeah, I'm buzzing for it. Like obviously, Bristol Equality, and they've had a good win last weekend, and they'll be humming coming into it. But man, they've got to come to the park and do it. So I think we definitely have confidence that we can put on another performance, and hopefully start our campaign off right.
And when they come down to the park on Saturday, what sort of threats are you expecting them to pose you in the forwards? What are you prepping for?
Obviously, for me personally, like you look at who's likely to be kind of scrummaging at loose head there. You look at Genji. He's a world-class player and one of the best loose heads going around world rugby. Which I just look at as it's exciting. I'm kind of keen to kind of test myself there. Like it's been a pretty cool start to the season so far. Obviously, scrum against Ox, who's a beast. Buddy on the weekend, obviously, who's quality international, and then hopefully Genji this weekend. And you look at that and you're like, okay, it's pretty exciting. But yeah, they've got quality carriers in their forward pack, and they They like to play from anywhere and really want to kind of go out and create these big moments with these tough carries and these 1 out carries. So we know that's coming. For us, it's just about staying connected, sticking to our plans, and it's one of those ones where we feel like we can deal with that. They'll bring what they bring, but there's been a lot of focus on us this week as well. So not kind of feeding too much into them and what they're about. We obviously kind of plan for the way they play and that kind of thing, but yeah, we definitely back ourselves and back our systems to kind of get the job done. So
Great, good to hear. And obviously, this is going to be, like we said, a return to Champions Cup rugby at the park. How big is it for you guys to get a lot of fans down there? A lot of fans in song. Maybe make a bit more of a hostile atmosphere for Bristol.
Yeah, it's massive. It's massive. You talk to all the boys and everyone loves playing at the park, and like we have unreal supporters. We've got some of the best supporters I've ever seen when they get out, and the stories the boys tell of a packed out park, and it's pretty cool. But for us, it's just it adds so much to our game. It's when we've got a 5 meter wall, if we've got a wall full of people screaming their heads off or singing and kind of getting us over the line, it adds energy and it adds fuel to us, and it's pretty special. So I'd love to see everyone get down to the park and hopefully watch us put on a performance they can be proud of, because ultimately that's what it's all about. That's what we're playing for. We're playing for you guys, the fans, and we want to. It kind of helps motivate. Not that we need any more motivation, but it kind of helps just add to all that and get us across the line. It's something we definitely hope we'll see this weekend.
Yeah, of course. And obviously for fans, this is the last home game, I think, before Christmas, where you've got the Ospreys on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the last chance to get down before Christmas and
yeah,
make a big noise down there on Saturday evening.
That's it.
Yeah. So look, I'm going to let you go very quickly, but first, I got some quick fire questions for you.
Fire away, my friend.
All right. So tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Oh man,
all the way. I don't know. As an Australian, I couldn't say anything else. I drink much too much coffee.
Give it a couple more years, you'll figure it out.
My Mrs. Ellie, who's over now, she's trying to get me to become a tea drinker, but yeah, not there yet. I'll get there.
We have faith. We'll keep faith.
Yeah.
So early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Okay. You got a 5 meter penalty. You taking the scrum or tap and go?
Scrum all day, every day.
That's what I love to hear, man.
Every day.
Who was your favorite player growing up?
Tapu Plotter now. Hooker, played for Oz, played in Sydney. He was a beast on the field, but he was just always so fun. I remember I met him. I went to a game. I met him, and he's he was a funny guy. So I always loved him.
Cool. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Teleportation.
Yeah, you'll never be offside with that. That's perfect.
Exactly.
You could be any animal. What would it be?
Big black bear.
Perfect tight head. Yeah, makes sense.
That's it.
Any pre-match superstitions you like to run through?
The song Money for Nothing by Dire Straits, the last thing I've listened to in the change rooms is the first minute and a half of Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. That guitar riff, best guitar riff of all time. One of the best bands of all time. And yeah, so before I walk out, the last thing I do, I'll have my headphones in, start that song, play it out. As soon as it hits that big drop, take them out. I'm ready to go.
So that's your WWE walkout song. If you had it.
Big time.
Perfect. And so you got one. It's your last meal. Yeah. What are you having for your last meal?
Ooh, the top one. My mum is a terrific cook, as you can probably tell. Growing up, I was very, very good cook. She makes an unbelievable chicken schnitzel and veal schnitzel. So I do chicken schnitzel, veal schnitzel, mashed potato, salad, and then I'll leave it there. I could go on for hours about food as well, but I'll leave it there.
Wait, so Holz, so German family? Austrian?
A long way back on my old man's side, but my mum is actually her parents were immigrants to Oz. Her dad was Croatian and her mum's Serbian. So Croatian, Serbian on that side, weirdly. Yeah.
No, well, good food on both sides. That's the most important.
Exactly. Lots of good food growing up. So.
Yeah. And the last question: you can have 3 guests over for dinner, living or dead. Who are you inviting?
Oh, that's a tough one. Jimmy Barnes, great Australian icon. Ned Kelly, another great Australian icon. These you might not know these. Keep an eye on all these guys. They're great. And then the third one would be Steve Irwin, a third Australian icon. I think that would be a pretty interesting meal to kind of chat to some of those guys and yeah.
I've never heard Ned Kelly as an answer to that.
Look up Ned Kelly. Ned Kelly was a bushranger. He would go around Oz and he wore this metal suit that he made, and he looked like a garbage bin on his head. But he was a bushranger who rode around and on a horse and shot people up, and he was unbelievable. Breed, go after this, everyone who is listening, go look up Ned Kelly.
Man, this is why we ask quick fire questions. That's the stuff we need to hear. Right. Look, I'll let you go. Archer Holz, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for stopping by with us.
Pleasure. Hopefully get on chat again soon.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.